What is going on, everybody? Welcome into the DGD Podcast and the first installment of Friday Night Futures. If you don't know what Friday Night Futures is, we bring on high school athletes, the future of college football, and we, just shoot the shit, if you will. Talk a little bit of everything. And first, welcome to the show, four-star edge rusher out of Rollsville High School, Zavion Griffin Haynes, man. What's going on, boss?
What's going on, my boy? Appreciate y'all for having me.
Absolutely. Listen, I saw you 2 years ago, man. Saw you when you were a sophomore at Rollsville, so got a good familiarity with you. A lot of people, if you're not familiar with Zavion, man, just gonna let it be known. But he's got that twitch to him, and it's fun to watch being an edge rusher too. Got to watch him against Grimsley when he was a sophomore. Followed him ever since. Kind of just followed along with Rollsville as a whole. But it's finally good to bring you on, man, and talk some high school ball, talk some recruiting, different things like that. And also for the live viewers, if you got questions, drop them in the comments. And if you may get lucky, hop on and answer some questions too. First things first, Keon, Zavion, how are y'all doing?
Doing good.
All right. Make sure everything's good. Zavion, first things first, gotta know, man. Let the folks know, if they're not familiar with you, man, let folks know more about you. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I grew up in Jacksonville, Florida. I played for one of the top teams, Westside Wildcats. We won the national 1 year. I grew up playing with, a bunch of former 5-star guys, former 4-star guys, Jamie French, Drake Stubbs. I played with all those guys growing up. And I moved up here to North Carolina in 2020. I went to Hillside my freshman year. I ain't really like it too much. I transferred over to Roseville with my uncle, Coach Rapp. And, we just been popping there since. Since last year I went in this position I'm in now, but, it's a blessing to be in this position.
Yeah, I think the transition to Rollsville probably did you a lot of good, honestly. Just knowing a little bit about Hillside. But I guess for me, right, you moved from Jacksonville up here during COVID. I guess I want to kind of know how that transition was because, I didn't play at that time, right? I mean, I played back in middle school, like mid 2000s, but
Right.
COVID, it impacted a lot of people. How did you navigate through that?
Just keeping my head down and just, keeping the main thing.
Yeah, because I know a lot of people couldn't really work out like they needed to, things like that, and it really threw a lot of kinks in people's growth and development from a strengths perspective as well, a lot of it. But I think it was interesting to see, and obviously, at Rollsville, you come on sophomore year, have a good season then, leading into this past season, right?
Yes,
state title runner-up, so you make the state title game. And I guess for me, moving forward into this season, right, obviously it's the off-season right now for Rollsville and everybody.
Right.
How are you attacking the off-season? I'm assuming – I have this feeling I know where this is going, but, how is your prep going for the off-season and, looking forward to try to bounce back into 2025?
Taking that loss to Grimsley two times in a row, 2 years in a row, so it's a bad feeling. It is a bad feeling in your guts. So we just, just working in the weight room, just keeping our head down, just keeping the main thing, like I was saying. We just trying to get to that state championship and win it all. We ain't trying to lose no more. So once we go back, we definitely go finish the job.
Yeah, everybody's here's Grimsley. They automatically think phase on, and understandably so. But a lot of people might not realize that the catalyst for that Grimsley squad last year was Mitchell Summers.
Yeah.
Probably an underrated name that a lot of people may not know about unless you're in this state. I don't think people understand just how tough of a player he was. But I want to ask you this in that regard: who was the best player you've played against so far? Right? There's a lot of. I have a feeling you still got one more year, but to this point, who's the toughest player you went up against?
I would probably say Mitch. Definitely Mitch.
His work ethic is crazy too, man.
Definitely Mitch.
Yeah, no, I think it's interesting though, because if you saw Mitch he's not imposing, from a measurables standpoint.
Right.
So it's the epitome of effort, if you will.
Yeah.
It's like the embodiment of effort.
Right.
And so it's something, obviously with Grimsley not having him, if a rematch does happen, I think you'll have a way better shot than people want to give you credit for this coming up.
Yeah, definitely.
So I did want to ask you in regards to your process, right? Just going through the motions, going through the season, you see yourself getting bigger, faster, and stronger. What are some of the things that you use to focus on during the off season to kind of get you ready for that final season of high school football?
I would probably say just, people, like a lot of people go and talk, and I just use it as motivation. I'm just trying to work to where nobody just ain't got nothing to say. Like, he not big enough, he not strong enough, he not fast enough. So I'm working on everything, so people ain't got room to say nothing.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, no, I think, and obviously, kind of watching you as a sophomore and kind of watching you develop and things like that. Yeah, something that stuck out to me was the twitch from you as a sophomore. Kind of watching that game, obviously, that game didn't go as planned for Rolesville. Still didn't mean that there weren't bright spots. And I thought that was something that was very, to me, apparent. It was just the twitch getting off the line and everything. And so watching you develop, more of a skill set and things like that, and your recruitment blow up more. It's fun for me to watch because you kind of see you kind of morph into a more total package, if you will.
Definitely.
I guess for me, I want to ask this: do you feel like you're more of a pass rusher, run support? How would you describe your play style for those that may not know?
I do it all. I ain't really got no just one thing I could do. I feel like I could do everything as a package.
Yeah, to me, it makes where you have to do it, especially in high school, right? I think when you start playing the schools that you do, because I think if I'm not mistaken, Rolesville, y'all do play like 4A, but at the same time, you're playing like Cardinal Gibbons, things like that. And that's a really tough school in the eastern side. And that's a regular season game. And that's not even including the non-conference games that y'all scheduled, especially this past season, right? Like I said, y'all hosting Grimsley was one. And so, kind of getting that talent right there and playing against those good teams, I feel like it helps y'all a ton looking into the playoffs and that run.
Definitely.
I got to ask you this, though, man. For those that aren't familiar with North Carolina football, the reclassifications going on right now, and there's, if I'm not mistaken, all the way up to 8 classifications. I think they're in the drafting stages of it now.
Yeah.
That I want to get your thoughts on that, because prior to it was just 4A, 3A, 2A, 1A. Now you got 8A. And it sounds like there might be a 8/7, different things like that. How does that look to you? Like, it's just I guess for me, the scope of high school football in the state. How does that change in you? Does that impact you in any way moving forward?
No, I just feel like it makes it easier for us. We went through one of the hardest conferences last year. 4A football was like top 10 Max Prep's hardest conferences. So we played in one of the hardest conferences, and we made it to the state championship. So they just gave it to us easy. So we just gonna take it how it is.
Because you had the
Max Preps is doing that.
Yeah, Max Preps had this top 10 hardest conferences.
Dang.
Yeah.
Yep. See, look, man. I'm gonna just tell you, Carolinas, they just got something special out there, because it's like, I don't know if it's in the water, we don't know what it is, but I'm just saying, y'all just saw Jalen Walker go out here and win the Dick Buckus Award.
Well, you still got, even now you got to look into this NFL draft. The combine just took off, and James Pierce, right? I know he's a Tennessee guy, but he was up here out of Chambers. And so watching him run, a 4.47, I think what it was.
Yeah, 4.47.
If you watch him in high school, it wasn't surprising. It just wasn't.
Bro, but see, I think one thing for Tennessee people got to understand, that fast pace, they got to keep up with those guys. That fast pace offense that they run, that defense, you got to keep up with it. It's like they had I believe it was an offensive lineman that did wide receiver drills. You know how crazy that is?
Yeah.
That's like you being a sumo wrestler and you training to go run the Olympic 100.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
Don't make no sense.
No.
I guess it's a good time to transition though, man, into more of your recruiting and your process there. Tell us maybe a little bit about your process, how you feel about it right now, and how are you managing your recruiting process in between the off-season prep and getting ready for spring practices, I guess in probably April, I would assume. How are you managing that?
Just taking it slow, seeing what every school has to offer, because every school ain't got your best interest, every coach ain't got your best interest. So you always want to just find the people that's that you feel right around, who your family can trust you around, and just I feel like go with your gut. And if it's that school, go with that school, because you never want to be around the wrong people who don't give a crap about you and just don't care for you. So I feel like that plays a big part of my recruitment too. So wherever I go, that's how you gonna know. Like it's a bond on the other side more than football.
How are you? I guess what things are you looking for? Generally speaking, with schools that you're talking to and things like that. I feel like for you, relationships matter. Is there anything else outside of that you look at to kind of help with your decision making process as you move forward?
Really development. Can I get in the league? I mean, you can get in the league anywhere you want to go, but I'm trying to come in, play early, make an impact. Academics, life after football, because the ball go start bouncing at one point. So, just the life after football.
And what schools? So obviously, if people aren't familiar, you were actually committed to UNC at one point, and if I'm not mistaken, I think Coach Brown retiring is really that might have been a reason for kind of open your process back up and start to reevaluate. I'm assuming. Obviously, Coach Bill Belichick's there now. I would assume they're still pursuing you pretty heavily as well. Maybe give us a few schools that are pushing for you pretty hard. I feel like you're pretty sought after kind of kid. Are there any schools that are reaching out to you pretty consistently?
Georgia, Notre Dame, Chapel Hill, NC State, Tennessee, Ohio State, Florida, FSU. Yeah, that'd probably be like the schools that sending out the most.
Yeah.
Wait a second, you from Duval, ain't you?
Yeah, I'm from Duval.
Oh man. Hey man. Florida, y'all back up, man. Just go ahead back. man.
Are you is Georgia? So Georgia is pretty. You're hearing from Georgia pretty consistently, I would assume.
Man, almost every day.
Oh, so was it Coach Uzo for you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, because I know with with Coach Scott, I know him having some ties in the in the state. I think you get this. There's certain schools do it different ways in regards to how they recruit the positions and areas. Right, some will do area, some will do position, and they just go everywhere. And that's something that Georgia position coaches, they do go everywhere. It's not like an area recruiter. So that's why I was just curious to know if it was Uzo or somebody else.
Hey man, look. I'm sorry. Go ahead and respond to that. I just wanted to tell you, look, North Carolina. Okay. Glenn Schumann has a proof of concept. Okay. That's all I'm saying. Hey man.
I Keanu got me messed up.
Hey man. I'm sorry, bud.
So I know when you got offered, a little backstory that people might not know. When you got offered, you actually came into one of our Twitter spaces that night.
Yeah.
We were talking to you about the offer and how everything was going, and you actually took a visit to Auburn shortly after.
Yeah.
How was that like for you? I know I think that would have been your first time visiting Georgia, I would assume.
That was my first time.
How was that like, especially on a game day?
It was great, homecoming, a bunch of guys out there just celebrating in Athens. So it was a great experience being down in Athens for the weekend. They made it a great time. They made it very enjoyable. They when I tell you they rolled the carpet out for me, they definitely did. So that definitely stood out to me.
No, I figured with how Kirby, since Kirby's been here, Zavion, things have changed for us recruiting. Georgia specifically was pretty good at recruiting, but since Kirby has gotten there, we've elevated more consistently into the top classes.
Yeah.
And so how he approaches recruiting and the meticulous approach, I think is something that I feel like gets pretty noticeable.
Right.
Change from what I've heard. So I feel like that's got to be something that's interesting. I know you've also got a visit OV set up for Georgia June 6th. What are you looking forward to that? I know you've obviously been to Georgia before. What answers are you trying to get from Georgia on that visit?
So nobody noticed, but I'm coming up March 29th too. So spring ball, I'm gonna come up and spend the weekend with you guys. But so in my OV, I'm just looking forward to just everything, the whole package, just seeing what like the whole school has to offer for me, seeing like the best fit, seeing the scheme, just going over film with the coach, just going over my position, just going over things and just seeing the best fit for me.
Yeah, I figured that's something. Everybody has different approaches to it, right? And that's why I love recruiting, because everything is different.
Right.
So every school that you go to could be different in how they approach it too. Listen, I don't think Georgia can do the cookie cakes no more. So you might not have to worry about that. I know Keon, when he showed me the cookie cake, man, on his OV visit. But he was like, man, I'm about to eat the whole thing.
That's how you that's how you get them D linemen. You gotta make sure the food.
No, that was crazy in its own right, man.
I think around like Thanksgiving, Coach Deriby, he sent me like a video. It was railing, all like the outside linebacker guys, Sam. They was all in like this little spot eating for Thanksgiving. So just little stuff like that just stands out.
Listen, man, you got my big back sense tingling right now. I ain't gonna lie.
Hey man. But even that has to be like extremely like crazy to see, especially like I know you probably watch like NFL teams and stuff like that. You look at teams like the Eagles and be like, oh man, Georgia boys, Georgia boys, Georgia boys, Georgia boys, Georgia boys, all over. And you watch that be the reason, and honestly the catalyst for them winning the Super Bowl. Because I'm a Giants fan, and I'm not gonna lie to you, I hate the fact that all of the Georgia boys is over there at the Eagles. But boy, once they got Jalen Carter and Nakobe Dean,
that boy a dog.
See, the funny thing is, for me, I'm not too big of an NFL fan, so I just get to listen to him sulk in misery most of the time.
Oh man, it's so bad. It's so bad. It's so bad. And then you even look. Have you been catching up? Have you been seeing any of the guys perform at the combine?
Yeah, I've been watching.
Yeah, so like even the D linemen, I think they went yesterday. Am I right, Rob? D linemen went yesterday.
Yep.
You're seeing guys that's like 3'10", 315, running 5 flats and 4 8s, and it's like, wow. Jordan Davis at 330 plus really did run a 4.7 on these.
Keon, he was 341 running a 4.78.
People don't understand how scary that is.
Yeah.
That's a mountain rolling downhill fast.
No, I gotta Zavion, welcome to the unpredictability of the DGD podcast. You talked about getting
You're muted. You're muted, Rob. See, look at you. Look at you. Hey, wait. Xavier, I gotta ask you a question, right? Because Rob always be telling me about this spot.
Yeah.
Is Bojangles the height? Is the hype just completely overrated, or does it live up to the expectations? You don't have Bojangles out there. I'm in Texas. We don't really have them out here.
I just had me something earlier, man. I just had me something earlier, man.
See,
but for your first time, it's gonna hit. But like on the daily, I wasn't touching on the daily, but probably like twice or 3 times every week.
Okay, what's the go-to meal, Zavion? Right now, what is the go-to meal?
Probably the 4-piece supreme. The 4-piece supreme, fries, lemonade, sweet tea, horse sweet tea, and then they got these Burberry biscuits. Nah, they got.
Hey, you see these broad shoulders, Zavion? I'm about to tell you a secret here, man. I've probably been doing this since before you were born. Get you a Cajun filet biscuit with egg and cheese.
I'm already knowing what you about to say.
And then hold on. But then get your Burberry biscuit on the side.
Yeah.
And get a sausage patty and put it in between it.
I already know what you about to say.
Mm-hmm.
My coach tell us that all the time.
Yes, sir. That's how it rolls, man. Keon, I told you, man. Big back strikes for real.
Nah, but they sweet tea. They might got the best sweet tea in the
man, if the service, if it's consistent, you know how this goes. It's either consistent or it's consistently inconsistent.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Depends on the location, and it never changes. So you got to just know which one's which.
Yeah.
No, I guess we'll get back to reality here. Obviously with the hey, I told you, man, it's unpredictable here.
Yeah.
But no, I guess for me, you got I think you posted earlier, you're looking to try to cut down your process a little bit, right? You got a bunch of offers. It sounds like you're trying to get to a top 12. And so with that being said, as you move closer to that decision, right? Like, do things start to, I guess, how are you handling that and trying to go through that process? Is it overwhelming or is it one of these things where you kind of know and you're just ready for it to kind of push through the cycle? How are you feeling and managing that?
It's a lot of schools who want me. So I would probably say just got to do what's best for me and my people. So I'm just cut down the list to like the best 12 and just go from there. But the schools that didn't make the list, I appreciate all those guys for recruiting me and just staying on top of me and just. But there's still some offers out there that I ain't got yet. So maybe in the spring we'll see if everything change up.
I know I can only imagine having to sit there and talk to a coach that's recruited you for a while and having to tell them that you're not going there. I don't think people and fans of college football really pay attention to those kind of details because you do build relationships with everybody right now, whether it's a daily, kind of like a daily communication that builds a strong relationship or, periodic, things like that. Regardless, you spent time and effort to develop those relationships. So it's always difficult to navigate having to tell people, you know what I mean? I would assume at least.
Yeah, it definitely is because, a lot of schools let your best interest through. Just knowing you're not going to that school, but, it's what's best for you at the end of the day.
Yeah, no, I got you. I guess this is something else too. Georgia released their G-Day today, and that's April 12th. But the question for me really stems to the world of college football. And, you've got schools, more notably USC, Nebraska, right, Texas, not even doing spring games. And so, spring games are a good time for recruits to come visit if you can too. Do you have any kind of feeling about that? And I guess for me is like, how do you view that? Do you view it, is it a neutral way or do you view it one side or the other?
I feel like it really just depends. Like, I feel like having no spring game could develop your team more and have your team more locked down on the regular season. But at the same time, I feel like having the spring game can bring like more attraction to your school, just fans coming out, supporting, players engaging with each other, and just having fun with the team.
Yeah, from a fan's perspective, and then obviously an athlete's perspective, it's completely different, right? Where, you've already you would have already went through, I think, 14 practices, and typically the spring game is your last at that point. For fans, the spring games are kind of a way to go to a Georgia game, for cheap, things like that. So I kind of feel torn a little bit for me from a fan's perspective, because one, it's traditional, right? It feels traditional where you watch the spring game.
No doubt.
But you understand the scope of college football as it stands now. You understand the fear of the transfer portal and NIL and how that can impact your roster. And, I don't think schools are going to go out and blatantly say it, but it's definitely a thought.
Yeah,
you see what I'm saying? And so, Keon, maybe a good question to ask you. How do you feel about the spring game situations around college football?
You either want to compete or you don't.
Yeah.
Hey, bro, I'm going to just be real. As a person that when I played in high school, I played Mike. It's a different mindset you have when you are a linebacker, bro. You are always on the attack mode. And the moments when you're not on the attack mode, you're not on the field. Zavion, am I right or am I right? If you're
right.
not on attack mode, you're not on the field.
This is the fun part, boys. This is the fun part, because defensive mentality and offensive mentality is completely different.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, plus you got to think those guys need to go through an install. They need to go through a summer of going through and getting that contact. Yet again, hitting drills, very important. People need to know the correct way to strike. Just because you don't went through that over in high school doesn't mean that same teachings, if you don't continue to drill that in, it's not going to stick.
Yeah, definitely.
That's why practicing tackling is very important. You have all of these different hitting drills that you're going to go through. It's all important, and it all plays in to your defense and or your team being better.
Yeah, like I was saying, though, like just not having the spring game can make your team just more lied down the personal side.
That is also another thing.
Just
yeah, I don't know. I don't
know
if Zavion remembers this, but during the COVID season, do you remember all the times, all the teams that weren't tackling, and then you saw it translate directly in week one? I don't know, Zavion, I don't know if you remember back that far when COVID struck and it impacted the season for college football.
No.
There's a lot of kind of the same kind of concept in high school applied to NCAA. You weren't really doing a lot of tackling because of the contact and close nature of it.
Okay, I got you.
So week one, watching college football, it was rough. Like,
horrible.
You can tell people had not been tackling because it was missed tackle after missed tackle. And then from our perspective, hearing what was going on, they were tackling. There was contact. And so watching Georgia go out there and tackle and stuff like that, it was like, okay.
Yeah.
So
now the rest of the country,
a little bit.
The rest of the country looked a little. The rest of the country looked a little shaky. I'm like, ooh, y'all ain't been hitting.
Trying to make a tackle right now.
Boys looking like they pulling up right before they make that final contact, and it's like, y'all ain't been smacking all season.
That college ball.
Zavion.
That college ball.
Zavion, and at Roseville, are y'all more of y'all are even front, right?
Yeah, full man front.
No, are y'all doing more of a traditional two ends, or are you doing like a stand up linebacker and then your edge?
It depends on
personnel.
Yeah, it really just depends like type of team we play too. So it just depends. Because our DC.
Because I know.
Have you ever heard of Kevin Riddick, the linebacker at UNC? He played at UNC.
Yeah.
He with the New Bern.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's our DC, and so he be having us do some NFL stuff. So the stuff he be having us doing is it's unpredictable. So
yeah, I know. Like I was telling you offline, kind of got to cover Grimsley, got to go in person and look at that, and seeing some of the things that they would do, especially with Bryce. He's at Duke and everything. Just seeing some of the things that he could do was just freaky stuff, man. And him playing about 240, 250 this past season to stay as athletic as he was, man. Duke got a good one too. But I remember seeing it in practice, man. Him coming out from I want to say it was probably a 5. I was on the opposite side of him, so I think it was a 5. he crashed down and hit the A-gap stunt. And he got there faster than the D lineman up the field. I was like, son of a bitch.
That
I
boy,
was like, oh my God.
that boy put the big impact when we played him because he was causing havoc the whole game. Like all the other defenses we played, it's a touchdown almost every job. But playing Bryce,
He set the edge so good. And
yeah.
I think people, Zavion, look at edge rushers today too much. They focus too much on the pass rush ability.
Yep.
And forget the name of your position, the edge. And it's about setting the edge too. And that's something I kind of watched your game, right? But when I started catching on to Bryce, that was the first thing that stood out to me was his ability to set the edge, long arm, and then shed the tag or shed the block and go. And I felt like that's something with you too. You do have the ability to bend and the twitch as well, but you were able to contain. Now, to be fair, I had to watch outside of Grimsley because I used it as an outlier to an extent because Mitch is just that different.
Mm.
But other games, it's just like understanding the edge, the discipline, things like that. And that really translates to the next level. Obviously, because when you go to whatever team you play on, the defense that you go, like you mentioned, looking for fit, right? It can be something as similar like for Georgia. Georgia does one edge, one off, like linebacker kind of thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where other schools will do two true edges, and that can make an impact on, an athlete's decision too.
Yeah, definitely.
So when you're looking for fit, are you looking for that traditional two edge, or are you looking for just getting a feel for how they run, how they operate defensively?
So I was talking to Coach Deribi, and if I can, man, I'll probably play like Jack, and just seeing how my body just develops. Okay. Just seeing how my body develops out and just how big I grow.
Where are you at now? Because I think you're 6'6", right?
Yeah, I'm 230. I'm 230 right now.
You said 230? Okay, yes, so
sir.
Yeah, I could. I guess for me, knowing that right now, depending on how much weight you put on in the off season, you'll probably slim down a few pounds probably during the season. But what do you have a goal? Do you have a
Yeah.
Rob, so look, let me just that's insane. And that's insane. People who are 6'6" are insane. Bro, in a house, right? No joking, right? Dead serious. In your given house, your door is only 6'8".
Yeah. I be having to bend down sometimes. No, everywhere I go, I be having to bend down so much. So
Rob gonna be looking at his doorway crazy.
When people see me in person, they be mesmerized because nobody know I'm this big until you see me.
Until you see him in person, like I said, until you see him in person, Keon. Like I said, I covered Grimsley and I was covering Bryce that time because I'm covering Bryce, and next thing you know, I look over at Rollsville. I'm kind of walking around the sidelines, and you just see, dude, he's just like hovering over everybody. I'm like, good Lord, man. Then you watch him on the field, I'm like, Jesus Christ, like he's getting off the ball. And it wasn't like Grimsley had a bad offensive line that year either as a sophomore, being on the sideline. Like they had a good squad. It's just like, good Lord.
Yeah.
See Shanta Rackley.
That's crazy. 6'6" is crazy.
And you're what? Laughing at us.
You're 18, 17, 18 now?
I'm 16.
Man,
there's a whole 2 years left to grow.
I need to know this. I need to know this right now. Yeah. What they feed y'all, man? Because when I was in high school, it wasn't like that.
Fam, you got him, Kendra. Like, what's the deal with everybody over there in North Carolina?
You got lurchers out here, man.
You ever heard of John Wall, the basketball tournament?
Yeah,
of course.
Yeah, so it was his best. He has his own basketball tournament up here. It's called John Wall.
Yeah, out in Raleigh, right?
Yeah. So Kendra was playing, and it was like before the game. He came to me, and like everybody was just staring at us how big we was. Like, I don't know, he's 6'8", I'm 6'6", so we were just walking around just two big humans.
Zavion, I sat down with him as a freshman, brought him on the show, and when I talked to him as a freshman, he was 6'7", 239. I was like, God. Man, I tell you, man, things are built different. I see Coach Rack in the building. Coach, how are you doing? But no, man, I'm telling you, it's so much different here, man. Zavion, when I went through high school, mid to late 2000s, dude, this was a basketball state.
Yeah.
And
So,
honestly, I'm getting the vibes that over time it's completely flipped, and you really are paying attention to football. I mean, just if you're looking at 2026, the on three, right? If you look at on 300, I think you got 15.
Yeah, 15
kids in the top 300 here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like you said, you got Faison, you got Kendra, you got yourself, got the Harris twins out there. You got Brody Keefe. I think people are sleeping on Brody Keefe, by the way. Thomas Davis, Camden Portis. You got
PJ Dean,
Ekene, PJ, Shabazz. You've got the list goes on, right? Ekene, right? Ebenezer, all those guys that y'all's way too. It ain't the same as what I was in high school, man. And so it's fun for me to keep up with this and really shine and try to do my best to shine and bring some spotlight here onto the state, because obviously we are a Georgia podcast. There's no doubting about that. And so people in Georgia have their high school, but hey, we've got ours too.
Yeah. I feel like every season, every recruiting cycle, we go to North Carolina to grab at least one player. Yeah, and you in North Carolina right now, right? So,
I mean,
mathematically.
So I started out. I was a full-on basketball player. I didn't even want to touch the football. So when I first moved up here, I was like, I'm gonna put the football down and get this basketball stuff go. So my freshman year, I got hurt. I was out for like 7 games. I got moved up on varsity. My first game back, I had like 3 sacks. I just came off a broken hand injury. I came back, I had like 3 sacks my freshman year. I was like, oh yeah, I'm back. I was so into basketball, I didn't really know I still had that football mentality in me. So.
Well, it's funny because if you're outside of the state, Zavion, you get this. Everybody thinks that we're a basketball state until you come in here, you actually see some of the quality in football. And I think 27, it's early. It's early. But 27's got some dogs too.
Yeah, we got 2 4-stars at our school right now.
Yeah. And speaking of 27, you've also got, because I think you got Amir. Is that one of them?
Yeah, Amir and Marquise Bryant.
Yep. And then you got Gavin Waddle too. He's 26 though with you, right?
Yeah, 26.
Yeah. So I mean, that's just at Roseville, Keon. Yeah. And then you look around at 27 in my area.
Wait, that's just at one school?
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. But even then, I mean, if you're looking at 27, a kid that I don't know if you know him. I don't know if you know him or not, but Andrew Rogers, Poop, up here at Dudley. 27 kid. He's 6'6".
You talking about the DN, right?
Yeah, number 12, I think it is.
I think so. You know Coach Galloway's son? Coach at Providence there?
Oh, yeah, Lonnie. Yes. Sorry, I think so. I think I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, he like 6'4".
Well, I mean, I think it's just – I think when you really sit down and look at it and you crunch everything up, like there's some talent here. There's some talent.
For sure.
Oh, okay. Coach Rack is saying Anthony Roberts, wide receiver. Okay.
Yeah, he had 27.
I was forgetting somebody. I knew I was forgetting somebody. But then, like I said, I mean, 26, man, like Samari over, like on the west. Like Keon is split east and west here. And so it's interesting because, like, where I'm at, Guilford County is the cutoff for east-west. So Grimsley over towards Charlotte is the west. And I always get this feeling for the past couple of years. It's like you look at the schedule for the West and the playoffs. David, I don't know how well you focused on that. I know you were focused on the East. Dude, crazy. I'm talking you've got Grimsley, East Forsyth, Huff, Chambers, if you get that far. You've got Myers Park, Weddington. Just
Independence.
It's insane. It's insane.
You never can tell who come out the West, but
no,
East, it's always Roseville Givers on the East.
Rolesville, Gibbons, but that's at the 4A level. I mean, there's other schools there, like Tarboro is like a 1A, I think it is, and they're just dominant as shit. 71st, same thing.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard you talk about Independence before, Rob.
Oh, Independence is good. Dude, that was Keon, Independence when I was in school. Independence was huge back when I was in high school because you had Chris Leak and Joe Cox come from there back to back. Yeah, so that was a big deal for us, Zavion, back in the day. Now you got a 4-star, 5-star guy. It ain't nothing over here. It's crazy, man.
I'm like the highest ranked player on the East right now.
Yeah. And you look at dude, I'm telling you, the Charlotte schools. This past season, here's how it was, and I made these predictions over on our Patreon, man. I looked at it, I was like, for 4A, I was like, Roseville's got this. But I felt like it was going to be Roseville and Gibbons. And I called that. And I if I'm not mistaken, I had y'all playing Grimsley in the state.
Yeah.
I'm pretty. And so I was like, but I'll tell you right now.
Everybody knew it was going to be. Everybody knew it was going to be a rematch. But I'm surprised.
Weddington Grimsley game.
I'm surprised Weddington lost. I ain't gonna lie.
But once they got past Weddington,
you cutting up. He cutting up for you.
Man. Yeah, Rob, you cut out.
What's that?
All right, you're back now.
Oh man, oof, buddy, my internet's hitting the portal right now.
Oh man,
yeah,
you better not go to Georgia Tech.
Not
that
honestly,
internet
on the west side.
Georgia Tech. Come on, Rob.
Sorry, I'm not an esports nerd. I'm sorry. No, but in all seriousness, though, Zavion, when once y'all got into the playoffs, I was like, I feel pretty confident with Roseville because I watched y'all enough. Dude, y'all handled business easily. I was like, y'all are good.
Yeah,
Devin was doing real good with Amir too. Yeah. And then in the West, though, I was like, when I saw the pair, when I saw the seed, and I saw Weddington Grimsley after Huff, and I was like, Jesus Christ.
So I was talking to Bryce.
And once Grimsley got past,
I was talking to Bryce Baker, the UNC commit QB at Forsyth. Yeah, we was talking, and we thought it was going to be us and them. And so we was getting. I forgot what game it was, but we was game planning at the game what they was going to do to us and all that. So
man, see the thing about it was the last game of the season, regular season, they played West Forsyth. That's a big rivalry for them. And so when I saw that game, I lost a little bit of confidence in East Forsyth. Hear me out, though. If you would have gave me Bryce Baker, Quayshawn Brown again, I would have felt a lot more confident.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Quayshawn was undersized, but he was good. Real good. Keon, welcome to the Tar Heel State, man.
Hey, man. Hey, I actually got to ask you a question about that, Zavion, right? College basketball is huge in the state of North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
Who are you taking, Duke or UNC?
UNC basketball team wasn't too good this year, so Duke definitely. Duke is more than that. So I'm going to the Duke Carolina game next weekend. I'm going for UNC, so I'm gonna see how that goes.
You just made a friend of him. Of Keon.
You really did. Hey man, I'm gonna be honest with you. You know, we going through a little rough patch right now, my Tar Heels. Yeah. But next year we're gonna bounce back in basketball. Hopefully not in football.
Yeah, Keon had a bad day when we played UNC the first time.
Oh, it's fine. No, he had a bad day last year when we swept him twice. So I get it. Yeah, you know.
Nah, hold on. I don't think you understand. So let me break this down. So Duke absolutely beat the hell out of UNC, and then Luka got traded to end the night.
Oh yeah, it was bad.
Because he's a Mavs fan, by the way, Zavion. He's a Mavs fan.
Yeah, it was a bad day. Yeah, it was a bad day. It was a real bad day.
That boy had a triple-double on like 2 days ago.
Oh yeah,
double.
Nuts. Now we over here chanting Lake Show because I'm supporting my guy. It's crazy.
Xavier, I gotta ask you a question. Whatever school you decide to go to, what are they getting out of Zavion?
Man, everything. A player, a son, a person who can lead, a person who can push guys to be great, a person who's going to stay on top of his grades and just give us all each and every day.
I think that's a good way to end that off, Keon.
Yeah.
Zavion, I just want to thank you again, man, coming on and kind of giving some insight into everything. And hopefully everything goes well in the off season and into the next season.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you guys for having me, man.
Absolutely.
Glad that you made it, man. Gonna be asking my guy Rob about you moving forward.
Yeah.
Hey, if anyone wants to follow you, man, where can they do that?
Okay.
No, where can people follow you if they want to follow you?
Oh, not on my Instagram. I'm gonna post it probably tonight on my Twitter, and then my Twitter is Zavion Griffin GH. So you guys just
we'll put the links in the show description to help out as well.
Okay,
so
great.
If you're not familiar, folks, just like I said, it'll be in the show description. So if you want to follow Zavion, go for it there. Man, look, I'm looking forward to watching y'all this season. I think it's going to be another good season for y'all. Hopefully y'all get to the state title and try to get some redemption for that season, man. Last season, that was a real good one, too.
We got to. Stay tuned.
Absolutely. Guys, make sure to like, follow, and subscribe. Rate us and review us. With that being said, that's all we've got for this episode. We will catch y'all next time. Go Dogs.
Go Dogs.
Go Dogs.
How?